Hey guys, so I'm making this video to give you an example of a short answer using AASE so you can see what you're expected to do on your short answer assignment this week. If you remember, that is a test grade. I'm using one of your discussion questions from the last week and we're going to answer it using AASE. That way you guys get an example and see what's expected of you and shown exactly how to do it step by step. So the question that we're going to be answering today is, why does no one in District 12 clap when Katniss volunteers for prim? So first, we're going to address the question. This is basically brainstorming. You're going to figure out, how am I going to answer this question? What I recommend doing is probably going back and looking in the book at the part that this happens. Katniss volunteers for prim on page 37. We get to see the audience's reaction and how the crowd reacts to her. So I see it says, to the everlasting credit of the people of District 12, not one person claps, not even the ones holding betting slips, the ones who are usually beyond caring. So instead of acknowledging applause, I stand there unmoving while they take part in the boldest form of dissent they can manage. Silence, which says, we do not agree, we do not condone. All of this is wrong. I'm not going to read it all, but that's where we can get our answer, which is the second step of AASE. It's answering that question. And one thing I really recommend doing is using their words when you answer the question. So answering the question is basically your topic sentence. And so I know that my sentence is going to start with, no one in District 12 claps when Katniss volunteers for prim because. And I already know my because I already know my because I figured that out when I was addressing the question, when I was doing my brainstorm, trying to figure out how I'm going to answer it. And I know that they don't clap for Katniss because they don't agree with what's happening and they feel sorry for her. So I'm going to word that in a much better way. I'm going to write that topic sentence now. So I have my addressing the question. I have my topic sentence. No one in District 12 claps when Katniss volunteers for prim because they do not condone the Hunger Games and they feel sympathetic towards her. See, condone, I used, circle it, one of your vocabulary words. Use your vocabulary words because you really want to up your diction when you're writing this. You get a lot of points based on your diction, so you want to avoid using words like good or bad or sad because they're not good diction words. And how do you find better words to use? Well, use your vocabulary words, but also you can find them in dictionaries. Your thesaurus is your friend. If you look up bad in a thesaurus, it gives you examples of so many better words that you can use instead of that. The next thing that you are going to do is show your support. Your support is your quotes from the text that give that show how you got your answer. Your support is your evidence. It's your proof. It's the fact, it's your receipts. This is how you know that this is true because the book tells me it's true. It's very important that you pick a quote that actually supports your answer. You can't just pick any random quote from the book that doesn't fit because then you're not going to be able to support your answer. You also want your quote to really flow with your own words. You don't want to just throw a quote on the page. I could throw in everything I read to you earlier onto this and it would support it, but it's not good writing because you're not embedding it into your own words. You're just giving me a quote and then you're making me as a reader, do all the work trying to figure out how that quote goes with what you're trying to say to me. So I'm going to show you how to embed the quote you use into your own words. Okay, so I have my support. The crowd, instead of clapping, touches the 3 middle fingers of their left hand to their lips and holds it out to her, end quote, to demonstrate their dissent toward the games and their admiration towards Katniss. So, if you see there, you can't, if there were no quotes, you wouldn't know when my words end and the author's words begin. I would also like to point out that the quote you use from the book does not have to be like a quote that a character says. It can be any line you find in the book that will best support your answer. So, it says the crowd, instead of clapping, touches. You see how it just flows right into her words. Another thing, if you notice, I have her in like a weird, they're like these little box things. That is because the quote originally says holds out to me. But I'm not writing in first person, so I need to change it to say her because I'm talking about Katniss. So I just put her into boxes and I've traded that out for me. That is something you don't have to do, but it is something that you can do. That way it fits better because you want your words and their words to fit, to embed together. If you need to say the crowd touched the middle fingers, then you could change this to touched and put it in a box like that. You're allowed to do that. If you have any questions about that, you can message me if you're having trouble doing it in your short answers. Please ask questions so I can help. We'll put that back. Yeah. Alright, but that is how you want your quote to flow in with your writing. You want to not even be able to tell when her words begin and your words end but we're going to know because you have to put quotation marks around the quote. That is very important. Make sure you put your quotation marks. But it's so much better than just throwing in a quote and not having any of your words together with it. Alright, and then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to explain. Explain is so important. You're explaining this quote. You're not repeating this quote. You're not telling me what this quote is saying in your own words. You're elaborating on it. You're explaining it. You're analyzing the quote. You're telling me why you chose this quote. And I am going to show you how to do that through my example. Alright, so you see my explanation here. By not clapping, the people are giving their respect to the young girl in their district over the Capitol. By remaining silent, District 12 is able to honor Katniss the only way they can, by openly exhibiting their opposition toward the Capitol. So I'm explaining why they do it. I'm telling you why they did it. Yes, touching the three middle fingers of their left hand to their lips and holding out to her is a sign of respect. Why are they showing Katniss respect? Because they admire her. Because they don't agree with what the Capitol is doing. They want to honor her. And I have to explain that. You kind of want to assume that the person who is going to read your short answer has never read the Hunger Games before. Has no idea why District 12 would do that. Has no idea who Katniss is. You want to assume that they are clueless, and I am going to explain everything to you to the best of my ability. I also want to point out my diction. I know I talked about it earlier, but if you look at, it says to demonstrate their dissent. Dissent, one of your vocab words. Basically, exhibiting their opposition means the exact same thing. Demonstrate and exhibit are just fancy words for show, but we don't want to use show because that's such a basic word. We don't like it. And dissent and opposition are basically just fancy words for disagree, but dissent and opposition sound so much better, so we don't want to use disagree. But do you see how I didn't repeat myself? I didn't say the best way they can by openly demonstrating their dissent towards the Capitol. I already said that. I don't want to be repetitive. This is too short of a paragraph to be repetitive. So I looked in a thesaurus and found that opposition and dissent mean the same thing. It worked perfectly. I'm going to use opposition the second time. I know that exhibiting is just a better word than show, and it means the same thing as demonstrating in this context. So I'm going to use exhibiting instead of showing or demonstrating since I already used it. You really want to practice using good diction. It's an easy way to get your score up. It really is. All you have to do is open up a thesaurus and it'll help you. Remember, we want to avoid those words. You do not want to have bad in there. Don't have good. Because if you had to write, think about it. Even if you had to write a short answer over Katniss, and it said what kind of sister Katniss is, and you said Katniss was a good sister, that's an understatement. A good sister, not a good isn't a good isn't a good word to describe her, because Katniss is more than a good sister. She's volunteering her life for her sister. She's a great sister. She's not even a great sister. She's a outstanding sister. We want to use better words than that. So we're going on this short answers that we do. We're going to avoid basic words like bad, good, show, disagree.